Welcome back to our channel Numismatics World HD. In today's video, we're going to explore something really interesting and exciting. Stay with us and don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get started. In 1968, the United States found itself at a crossroads in both its history and its economy. This was a time of significant change. The Vietnam War was still ongoing, civil rights movements were gaining momentum, and the nation was facing social and political upheaval. Yet, despite the turbulence of the era, one thing remained constant: the American people still relied on their currency to go about their daily lives. The humble 1-cent coin, or penny, was an essential part of the American economy, circulating in pockets, cash registers, and vending machines across the country. But little did anyone know that this seemingly insignificant coin from 1968 would become a symbol of historical change and a highly sought-after collector's item decades later. The 1968 1-cent coin, commonly known as the penny, carries with it a fascinating story, one that intertwines with the broader historical context of the United States during the 1960s. The 1960s was a decade marked by significant cultural, political, and technological transformations. It was an era that saw the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act passed, the first manned mission to the moon, and the rise of counterculture movements that challenged traditional American values. The economic landscape was shifting too, as inflation was on the rise and the cost of living was increasing. It was also a period when the U.S. Mint was facing some serious challenges in terms of coin production, particularly due to the rising cost of the metals used to create coins. The year 1965 marked a pivotal moment in U.S. coinage, as the U.S. Mint made a major decision to eliminate silver from its coins, replacing it with more affordable copper-nickel alloys. This change was a result of the soaring price of silver, which made it increasingly expensive to mint coins using the precious metal. As a result, the 1968 penny was made of a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, a formula that would remain the standard for the penny for several decades. But beyond the changes in composition, there was something unique about the 1968 penny that would give it special appeal to collectors: a series of mintage errors and changes in minting procedures that would ultimately lead to an increase in the coin's value. To understand the 1968 penny, we need to take a closer look at the design that adorned it. The obverse side of the 1968 penny features the well-known image of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This iconic portrait of Lincoln has been featured on the penny since 1909, when it was first introduced to honor the centennial of his birth. The design was created by Victor David Brenner, a renowned sculptor and engraver, and it quickly became one of the most recognizable images in American coinage history. The image of Lincoln's bust, facing right, with the inscription, "In God We Trust," above and "Liberty" on the left, has remained largely unchanged for over a century. On the reverse side of the penny, we find the familiar image of the Lincoln Memorial, which has adorned the coin since 1959. Designed by Frank Gasparo, the Lincoln Memorial reverse was introduced to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The design features a depiction of the memorial, with the statue of Lincoln seated at its center. The inscription, "E pluribus unum," appears above the memorial, with "United States of America" and "1 cent" at the bottom. The reverse design of the penny was updated in 2009 to mark the 200th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, but for the 1968 penny, this classic reverse was still in circulation. However, the 1968 penny is particularly notable for the changes in minting techniques and the introduction of new technologies. This year marked a shift in the way coins were struck, as the U.S. Mint began to experiment with different methods to improve efficiency and reduce costs. One of the key innovations was the introduction of the screw press technology, which allowed for faster and more precise minting of coins. This technological shift meant that coins could be produced in larger quantities and with greater consistency, but it also led to some unexpected consequences, especially in terms of minting errors. Coin collectors know that errors can make a coin incredibly valuable, and the 1968 penny is no exception. One of the most well-known errors that occurred during this year's minting process is the 1968 double die obverse penny. This error is particularly sought after by collectors because of the unique way the design was struck, creating a doubling effect on the date and lettering on the obverse side of the coin. The 1968 double die obverse penny is incredibly rare and can fetch a significant premium on the market. These coins were struck with a misalignment in the die, which caused the design to overlap and create a doubled image. This error is one of the most desirable for numismatists, and a well-preserved specimen can be worth thousands of dollars. Another notable error from the 1968 penny mintage involves the no mint mark variety. Normally, pennies minted at the San Francisco Mint feature an S mint mark, indicating their place of origin. However, in 1968, a number of pennies were mistakenly produced without the mint mark, making them rare and highly valuable. These coins, which were produced at the San Francisco Mint, are sometimes referred to as 1968 no-S pennies. The absence of the mint mark makes these coins unique and highly sought after by collectors, especially those looking to complete their collections with rare varieties. As with the double die errors, the no mint mark pennies are some of the most expensive 1968 pennies on the market today, but the appeal of the 1968 penny goes beyond just the errors. The coin's significance is also tied to its place in American history. The 1968 penny represents a time of significant change for the country. As the nation grappled with issues such as the Vietnam War, civil rights, and political unrest, the penny, though small and humble, became a symbol of the country's continued perseverance. The changes in minting techniques and the introduction of new technologies also reflect the broader changes in the economy, as the U.S. Mint adapted to rising production costs and a shift toward more efficient methods. As we look at the value of the 1968 penny today, we see a significant increase from its original face value of 1 cent. While most 1968 pennies are worth their face value, the error coins and rare varieties are highly coveted by collectors, and their value can be quite staggering. The 1968 double die obverse penny, for example, has sold for as much as $140,000 in some cases. The no mint mark varieties can also fetch impressive prices, with well-preserved examples regularly selling for thousands of dollars. This dramatic increase in value can be attributed to the rarity of these error coins, as well as the growing interest in coin collecting as a hobby and investment opportunity. But how exactly do collectors determine the value of a 1968 penny? The value is typically based on several factors, including the condition of the coin, the rarity of the variety or error, and the demand among collectors. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher grades representing coins in better condition. A 1968 penny in mint state condition, meaning it has been well preserved and shows no signs of wear, will be worth more than a coin that has been heavily circulated and shows significant damage. Additionally, coins with errors, such as the double die or no mint mark varieties, are worth more because they are rarer and harder to find. The 1968 penny's rise in value is a testament to the power of rarity and historical significance. What began as a simple coin used in daily transactions has become a symbol of the nation's changing times, and a sought-after item in the world of coin collecting. For those who are lucky enough to own a 1968 penny with a rare error or unique minting variation, the value of the coin can be truly extraordinary. In conclusion, the 1968 1-cent coin represents much more than just a piece of currency. It is a reminder of a transformative period in American history, and a tangible connection to the past. For collectors, it's a treasure, something that combines the allure of rarity, historical significance, and the thrill of discovery. Whether it's the 1968 double die obverse penny or the no mint mark variety, the 1968 penny has captured the imagination of collectors and continues to be a highly prized commodity in the world of numismatics. The incredible value of $140,000 for certain rare examples is a testament to the lasting appeal of this coin and the fascinating world of coin collecting. If you're lucky enough to come across a 1968 penny, take a closer look. It might just be worth far more than you ever imagined. The 1975 USA 1-cent coin, or penny, is one of those unassuming pieces of currency that holds a far greater significance than its small size and nominal value would suggest. At first glance, it's just another penny, likely spent in your daily purchases or tossed aside into a jar for future use. But take a moment, and you'll realize that this particular penny is more than just a reflection of its time. It is a piece of history, a product of social and political change, and, for some fortunate collectors, a rare find with an astonishing value. To truly appreciate the 1975 penny, we need to take a step back in time to understand the world in which it was minted. The year 1975 was an interesting one for the United States. The country had just emerged from a decade marked by intense political, cultural, and social upheaval. The Watergate scandal had shaken the nation's trust in its leaders, and the Vietnam War was still fresh in the collective memory of the American public. The 1970s were a time of transition, as the U.S. was trying to heal from the wounds of the previous decade while also navigating the economic challenges that came with inflation and a changing global landscape. In the midst of this turbulent era, the U.S. Mint continued its work, producing coins to circulate in the economy. The penny, while far from the highest denomination in American currency, remained a crucial part of everyday life. The 1975 1-cent coin was no different, yet it marked a significant moment in U.S. coinage. This penny, though seemingly ordinary at first glance, carries within it the story of a changing nation, both in terms of its design and its composition. By the mid-1970s, the United States was experiencing inflation and rising production costs. In particular, the cost of the metals used in coin production had been steadily increasing. In response to these challenges, the U.S. Mint had begun to transition away from using silver in its coins in the 1960s, opting instead for cheaper materials like copper-nickel alloys. By the time the 1975 penny was produced, the coin was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, a composition that would remain in place for several years. This shift in the materials used to mint coins was not just a cost-saving measure. It reflected the broader economic conditions the nation was facing as it adapted to new realities in the global economy. Despite these practical considerations, the 1975 penny was still part of a long-standing tradition in U.S. coinage. Like its predecessors, the coin featured the famous image of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Lincoln had been featured on the penny since 1909, when Victor David Brenner's design of Lincoln's profile was first introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of his birth. The obverse side of the 1975 penny still carried this iconic portrait of Lincoln, facing right with the words, "In God We Trust," above him and "Liberty" to the left. This image of Lincoln, which has endured for over a century, evokes the ideals of freedom and unity, making the penny not just a coin but a symbol of the country's core values. On the reverse side of the penny, the design had remained consistent since 1959, when Frank Gasparo's depiction of the Lincoln Memorial replaced the wheat ears design that had been used on the reverse side of the penny since its inception. The Lincoln Memorial, with its grand columns and the seated figure of Lincoln at the center, was a fitting tribute to the man who preserved the Union during the Civil War. The reverse design also featured the words "E pluribus unum" above the memorial and "United States of America" and "1 cent" at the bottom. This imagery connected the penny to the nation's history and ideals, offering a sense of stability even as the country faced its challenges. While the 1975 penny carried all the familiar designs and features, it was also a product of a period of experimentation and refinement at the U.S. Mint. As the Mint sought to streamline production and improve efficiency, they faced new challenges. The 1975 penny would be minted at 3 different locations: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. Each of these mints would use different methods to strike the coins, and while most pennies from this year appeared virtually identical, there were subtle differences that would later prove important to collectors. The 1975 penny, much like the coins produced in previous years, was made in vast quantities. In fact, millions of pennies were minted during this time, making the 1975 penny one of the more common coins in circulation. However, what sets the 1975 penny apart from many other coins of the era is the existence of certain rare variations, errors, and minting quirks that would contribute to its appeal in the world of coin collecting. One of the most notable and valuable variations of the 1975 penny is the 1975 S-proof penny. A proof coin is a specially made coin, struck with a higher level of precision and care than regular circulation coins. Proof coins are typically produced in limited quantities for collectors, and the 1975 S-proof penny was no exception. The S mint mark on these coins indicates that they were produced at the San Francisco Mint, and their higher quality of production and limited availability make them much more valuable than regular 1975 pennies. A well-preserved 1975 S-proof penny can fetch a premium on the market, particularly for collectors looking to complete their collections with proof coins from specific years. In addition to the proof pennies, there are other error varieties of the 1975 penny that have captivated collectors. One of the most famous errors from this year is the 1975 double die obverse penny. This error occurs when a coin is struck multiple times by the same die, causing a slight misalignment of the design elements. In the case of the 1975 double die obverse penny, this results in a doubling effect on the date and inscriptions on the obverse side of the coin. This error is relatively rare, and when a well-preserved example of a double die penny is found, it can command a high price in the collector's market. Another variation of the 1975 penny that has generated interest among collectors is the no mint mark variety. Pennies minted at the Philadelphia Mint typically don't carry a mint mark, but in some instances, 1975 pennies were struck without the S mint mark that was typically used on coins produced at the San Francisco Mint. These no mint mark pennies are relatively rare, and they are often sought after by those looking to acquire unique varieties of the 1975 penny. For the most part, 1975 pennies in regular circulation are worth only their face value, especially if they are well worn from years of use. However, when we examine the rare and error varieties, it becomes clear that the 1975 penny holds the potential for significant value. As of today, a well-preserved example of a 1975 S-proof penny or a 1975 double die obverse penny can fetch tens of thousands of dollars at auction. The value of these coins depends on their rarity, their condition, and the demand among collectors. One of the highest-selling 1975 pennies in recent years was a 1975 double die obverse penny that sold for a stunning $127,000. This price underscores the immense value that error coins and rare varieties can achieve in the world of numismatics. The 1975 penny is a prime example of how small variations in minting and design can lead to tremendous value for collectors. What began as a simple, everyday coin has now become a sought-after item for numismatists and investors alike. The appeal of the 1975 penny is not just in its value, however. It is also a reminder of the history and culture of the United States in the 1970s. The penny from this year represents a time of political change, economic struggles, and social upheaval. It is a piece of currency that encapsulates an era of American history, offering a tangible connection to the past. For coin collectors, the 1975 penny is more than just a coin, it is a link to the past, a collector's treasure, and a potentially valuable asset. So, the next time you find a 1975 penny in your change, take a closer look. It might not seem like much at first, but if it's in exceptional condition, or if you happen to have one of the rare error varieties, you could be holding on to something much more valuable than its 1-cent face value. The 1975 penny may have started its life as a humble piece of currency, but for collectors, it has become a true gem, one that continues to surprise and delight those who are lucky enough to find it. In 1988, the United States was in the midst of an era of political and social change. The country was navigating a new era under the leadership of President Ronald Reagan, who had been re-elected for a second term. The Cold War was slowly winding down, and the United States was in the middle of an economic recovery, following the recessions of the early 1980s. The economic landscape was shifting, and while inflation was under control, the country still faced challenges related to trade deficits and the national debt. In the midst of these historical developments, one thing remained constant: the everyday transactions of the American people, which continued to rely on currency, including the 1-cent coin, or penny. The 1988 penny may have seemed like a simple coin to most people, but for numismatists and collectors, it holds a special place in history. While the penny has long been a staple of U.S. currency, the 1988 version carries with it a story of subtle yet significant changes in the world of coinage. The penny's design, its minting process, and even the metal it was made from, all reflect the broader trends and economic realities of the late 1980s. And as we look at the history and value of the 1988 penny, we uncover a fascinating story that ties together political, economic, and cultural forces, while also providing an intriguing glimpse into the world of coin collecting. To understand the 1988 penny, it's important to first examine the historical and economic context of the era. The late 1980s was a time of recovery and growth for the United States, following the economic turmoil of the early part of the decade. The U.S. had been in a recession in 1980 and 1981, but by 1988, the economy was on an upswing, fueled by tax cuts, deregulation, and a booming stock market. Unemployment had dropped, and inflation was under control. However, these years of growth were not without their challenges. The national debt was rising, and the U.S. was facing a growing trade deficit, especially with countries like Japan and Germany. In terms of coinage, the U.S. Mint was still using the same materials for its pennies that had been in place since the mid-1960s. By 1988, the penny had been made of 95% copper and 5% zinc for several decades. This composition was chosen because copper was more cost-effective than the silver that had once been used in coinage. However, the cost of copper itself was starting to rise, which would eventually lead to further changes in U.S. coinage in the coming years. But for the 1988 penny, the composition was stable, and the coin would continue to circulate in large numbers, as it had since its introduction. The design of the 1988 penny was also quite familiar. The obverse of the penny featured the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, which had graced the coin since 1909. This image, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, depicted the 16th President of the United States in profile, with the words, "In God We Trust," above his head, and "Liberty" to the left. The portrait of Lincoln had become one of the most recognizable symbols in American coinage, and it was fitting that it would continue to appear on the penny for decades. On the reverse side of the 1988 penny, there was another enduring symbol, the Lincoln Memorial. Designed by Frank Gasparo, the Lincoln Memorial had been featured on the penny since 1959. This design showed the grand memorial building with its columns and statue of Lincoln seated inside. Beneath the memorial, the words "E pluribus unum" were inscribed, symbolizing the unity of the states. Along the bottom edge of the coin, "United States of America" and "1 cent" were inscribed, identifying the coin's denomination and country of origin. While the designs of the 1988 penny may have been familiar to most, the minting process for these coins was anything but ordinary. The U.S. Mint had a vast network of facilities responsible for producing the nation's currency, and the 1988 pennies were struck at 3 primary locations: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. The production of coins at these facilities was a highly complex operation, and the mint relied on advanced technology and machinery to strike the millions of pennies that would be distributed throughout the country each year. The 1988 penny was produced in massive quantities, as it was an essential part of the daily transactions of American citizens. As is typical for most pennies, the 1988 version was used in large numbers for small purchases, such as paying for a candy bar or making change at a cash register. However, despite the large mintage, the 1988 penny has managed to capture the interest of collectors, particularly those looking for rare variations, errors, or specific minting anomalies. While most 1988 pennies are still worth only their face value of 1 cent, certain variations and conditions of the coin can make it far more valuable. One of the key aspects that collectors look for when evaluating the 1988 penny is its condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, uncirculated coin. The 1988 penny, like other coins of its time, was produced in high numbers, meaning that many of them circulated widely and became worn or damaged over the years. Pennies that have been well preserved, with little to no wear and tear, are highly sought after by collectors. These coins are often referred to as mint state or uncirculated, and they can command higher prices on the market. In addition to condition, collectors also seek out coins with specific minting errors. The 1988 penny, like many other coins, had a few notable errors in its mintage. One of the most interesting errors associated with the 1988 penny is the double die variety. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts or misaligns, resulting in a doubling of the design elements on the coin's surface. For the 1988 penny, this could mean a slight duplication of the Liberty inscription or the date. While these errors are relatively rare, they can significantly increase the value of the coin, especially if the error is noticeable and the coin is in good condition. Another important factor in the value of the 1988 penny is its mint mark. Coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint typically do not carry a mint mark, while those struck at the Denver Mint are marked with a D, and those produced at the San Francisco Mint are marked with an S. Most 1988 pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, but a small number were produced at the Denver and San Francisco facilities. Coins from these mints are sometimes considered more desirable to collectors, particularly if they are rare or in exceptional condition. While most 1988 pennies remain of modest value, certain varieties and errors can fetch higher prices. The 1988 penny is not one of the most famous coins in U.S. history, but it does have a place in the world of numismatics, especially for those who appreciate the nuances of coin collecting. In particular, error coins from the 1988 series, such as those with double die errors or unusual minting flaws, can be quite valuable. Some of these coins have been sold at auction for prices that far exceed their face value. The most impressive of these sales is the $116,000 price achieved by a rare 1988 penny. This particular coin was a pristine example with a unique error, one that captured the attention of collectors and numismatists alike. The high price paid for this coin reflects the growing interest in coin collecting as an investment, as well as the demand for rare and unusual items in the numismatic world. For collectors, the 1988 penny is more than just a piece of currency, it is a tangible link to a specific moment in American history. The coin was produced during a time of economic growth and political change, and it represents the enduring legacy of the Lincoln Memorial design, which continues to capture the spirit of the United States. Whether it's the design, the minting process, or the rare errors that make it valuable, the 1988 penny has become an object of interest and desire for those who appreciate the artistry and history of American coins. As we reflect on the story of the 1988 penny, it's clear that this seemingly humble coin is much more than it appears. From its production in the late 1980s to its place in the world of coin collecting today, the 1988 penny tells a fascinating story of change, continuity, and the enduring appeal of U.S. coinage. And with its impressive value of $116,000 for certain rare specimens, it's clear that the 1988 penny is not just a relic of the past, it's a valuable piece of American history, ready to surprise and reward collectors who know where to look. So, the next time you find a 1988 penny in your pocket or jar, take a closer look. It might just be the key to unlocking a treasure trove of value that you never expected. The world of coin collecting is filled with surprises, and the 1988 penny is a reminder that even the most unassuming coins can hold incredible worth. In 1995, the United States was experiencing a period of economic stability and growth. The country had just emerged from a brief recession in the early 1990s, and now, under the leadership of President Bill Clinton, the economy was in the midst of a robust recovery. The dot-com boom was on the horizon, as technology companies began to rise to prominence, and the global economy was becoming more interconnected. At home, the nation was dealing with changes in the social landscape, and Americans were adapting to new technologies, from the rise of the internet to mobile phones becoming more common. Amidst all these changes, one thing remained a constant: the everyday use of currency. The 1995 1-cent coin, or penny, was part of that daily exchange of money. While it may have seemed like just another coin circulating among the masses, the 1995 penny holds a special place in the hearts of collectors and numismatists. Like all coins, the penny carries with it a story, one that reflects not just the design and materials of the time, but also the broader political, social, and economic context of the country. And for those who are familiar with the world of coin collecting, the 1995 penny is more than just another small piece of currency. It is a collectible item with potential rarity, as well as historical and monetary significance. To fully understand the 1995 penny, we must first take a look at the time in which it was minted. The mid-1990s marked an interesting period in U.S. history. The Cold War had officially ended with the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, and the world was entering a new era of geopolitical alignment. In the United States, this period was characterized by economic prosperity, with the country seeing significant growth in its gross domestic product, GDP, and a reduction in the unemployment rate. The government was also in a period of fiscal balance, marking a rare occasion in which the federal budget was balanced, and there was even a budget surplus. While the broader economic situation was improving, there was still the constant need for everyday transactions in the form of coins and paper currency. As such, the U.S. Mint continued to produce coins that would be used by the public. The penny, despite its small face value, remained an essential part of the monetary system, regularly found in people's pockets, wallets, and cash registers. But as we would soon discover, the 1995 penny was not just another typical coin. It was a reflection of several factors that would come to define the era in U.S. coinage. The design of the 1995 penny, like the pennies that preceded it, featured the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln had been featured on the penny since 1909, and his image was not only a nod to his historical significance but also a symbol of unity and freedom that was meant to resonate deeply with the American people. The 1995 penny's obverse side depicted Lincoln's profile facing right, with the words, "In God We Trust," prominently displayed above him, along with "Liberty" to the left. The year 1995 was inscribed just beneath his image, marking the specific year of minting. On the reverse side of the coin, the design had remained unchanged since 1959. Frank Gasparo's depiction of the Lincoln Memorial continued to be featured on the reverse side of the penny, showcasing the impressive columns of the memorial and the statue of Lincoln seated within. The words "E pluribus unum" appeared above the memorial, symbolizing the unity of the nation, while the inscriptions "United States of America" and "1 cent" were placed along the bottom. This design, like the obverse, was deeply rooted in American history and was meant to serve as a constant reminder of the country's core values of liberty, freedom, and unity. Despite the familiarity of the design, the 1995 penny was still very much a product of its time. By the mid-1990s, the U.S. Mint was grappling with the rising cost of production for its coins. Copper, the primary metal used in the composition of pennies, had become increasingly expensive, and the U.S. Mint had begun to look at ways to reduce production costs. This concern would eventually lead to a major change in coin composition, but for the 1995 penny, the Mint continued using the standard alloy, 95% copper and 5% zinc. The 1995 penny was struck at 3 different mints: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. Each mint had its own distinctive characteristics and methods for producing coins, and the location of minting would play a significant role in the coin's appeal to collectors. While most pennies from this year were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, coins from the Denver Mint, marked with a D, and coins from the San Francisco Mint, marked with an S, were also released into circulation. The distribution of coins across different mints added an additional layer of complexity for collectors who were looking to track down specific varieties and find the rarest examples of the 1995 penny. Though most 1995 pennies would circulate without attracting much attention, there were a few specific types of coins that would catch the eye of collectors, particularly those looking for error coins or rare minting anomalies. As with many coins from the 1990s, the 1995 penny saw a few notable variations, including some subtle minting errors that would prove valuable on the collector's market. One of the most famous and sought-after varieties of the 1995 penny is the double die obverse error. This occurs when the coin is struck multiple times by the same die, causing the design elements to appear doubled. In the case of the 1995 penny, this error was most noticeable in the doubling of the date and inscriptions on the obverse side of the coin, including the word Liberty. The doubled features create a striking effect, which makes the coin stand out from its counterparts. These error coins are relatively rare, and they can fetch significant amounts at auction, especially if they are in good condition. Another factor that can contribute to the rarity and value of the 1995 penny is its condition. As with all coins, the state of preservation plays a crucial role in determining a coin's value. Coins that have been kept in excellent condition, free from scratches, dings, and other signs of wear, are far more valuable than those that have been heavily circulated. A well-preserved 1995 penny in uncirculated condition is much more likely to attract a high price among collectors, especially if it is free from any visible imperfections or damage. The higher the grade, the higher the value of the coin. For those in the numismatic world, one of the most significant factors in the value of the 1995 penny is the potential for finding rare error coins, particularly the 1995 double die obverse penny. These coins, while produced in relatively small quantities, can command impressive sums when they are found in good condition. As of recent sales, a particularly well-preserved 1995 double die obverse penny was sold at auction for an astounding $106,000. This sale represents the potential value that a rare penny from this era can achieve, particularly when it has unique characteristics that make it stand out among its peers. The high price paid for the 1995 double die obverse penny highlights the growing interest in error coins and rare varieties in the world of coin collecting. Error coins, with their unique characteristics, are often more desirable to collectors because they are not only rare but also represent a flaw or anomaly in the minting process. For collectors who are passionate about finding these rare pieces, the 1995 penny offers a valuable opportunity to uncover a hidden gem that may be worth far more than its face value. While the vast majority of 1995 pennies remain worth only 1 cent, it's clear that certain varieties of the coin, particularly those with minting errors or rare features, hold significant value in the eyes of collectors. The 1995 penny serves as a reminder that even the most ordinary of coins can carry hidden worth, depending on their condition and the specific characteristics they possess. For anyone interested in coin collecting, the 1995 penny is an important coin to keep an eye out for. Whether you are a seasoned collector or a newcomer to the world of numismatics, the 1995 penny represents an opportunity to explore a fascinating piece of American history while potentially making a substantial profit. From its iconic Lincoln Memorial design to the rarity of its era varieties, the 1995 penny offers something for everyone.